Alex Eala's unexpected decision surprises everyone at the WTA event. No one, not fans, not commentators, not even other players, saw this coming. One move, made in seconds, sent shockwaves across the tournament grounds. Suddenly, conversations stopped, cameras swung around, and all eyes locked onto her. Whispers started spreading through the locker room like wildfire. Did she really just do that? Social media exploded before officials could even react, with thousands guessing what triggered the bold decision. Some claimed it was strategy, others believed it was pressure, while a few insisted it was pure courage. Even veteran analysts were stunned, calling it the most unexpected moment of the event so far. Rivals paused their warm-ups, coaches rushed to confirm the news, and fans were glued to their screens. Nothing about this was normal, and yet, everything about this felt like the beginning of something bigger. Because this wasn't just a choice, it was a statement. And the tennis world still can't stop talking about it. Before the shock, before the whispers, before the decision that left an entire WTA event holding its breath, everything seemed normal for Alex Eala. Or at least, that's how it looked from the outside. She arrived quietly, the way she always does, focused, composed, carrying that blend of humility and fire that made so many young athletes admire her. She wasn't the highest seed in the draw, but she was the one everyone secretly circled, the one who could break brackets, the one who could tilt momentum with a single fearless stroke, the one who didn't need noise to make noise. But beneath the calm surface, something else was brewing, something fans couldn't see, coaches couldn't predict, and commentators couldn't analyze. Alex had been on a demanding streak of tournaments, bouncing from continent to continent, chasing ranking points, chasing opportunities, chasing improvement. Schedules stacked, expectations rising, and the pressure of representation growing heavier with every match. People looked at her and saw progress. They saw potential. They saw the future. What they didn't see was the exhaustion. Not just physical exhaustion, the mental kind that builds quietly, hides behind polite smiles, and finally arrives like a wave you didn't realize was under your feet all along. So, as the WTA event began, the chatter danced around names expected to dominate. But every now and then, in the corners of press rooms and fan spaces, you'd hear her name slip through. Alex is dangerous here. She's been improving fast. If she finds rhythms, she can upset anyone. And she could. That belief was no lie. Yet belief doesn't erase weight, and Alex carried more than most players her age ever had to. The first day of practice sessions revealed a small shift, barely noticeable unless you knew her well. Less chatter, shorter rallies, longer breaks between points. She wasn't injured, but something in her energy hinted at a deeper battle. Still, she pushed. Still, she stayed late. Still, she ran drills in that crisp, relentless way that made people admire her work ethic. And that's what made the next part so shocking. Because when someone who gives everything makes an unexpected choice, it lands harder. It hits deeper. It raises every question that athletes are usually too afraid to ask out loud. But no one knew that yet. To fans, the build-up to her opening match looked like a standard tournament routine. Coaches analyzed matchups, journalists prepared storylines, rivals stole glances at her warm-ups trying to read her rhythm, her timing, her readiness. She was present, but not fully there, a quiet storm holding itself in place. But what no one realized was that the decision she would make, the one that froze the entire event, had already begun forming in her mind, not out of impulse, but out of weeks, maybe months, of pressure stacking like silent bricks behind her confidence. And all it needed was a moment. One moment to tip everything. One moment to turn a regular WTA event into the most talked about tournament of the month. And that moment was coming fast. Because Alex Eala was about to do something no one expected. Not the fans, not the organizers, not even the players warming up just a few courts away. Something that would change the entire narrative of the tournament. Something that would make headlines before a single ball was struck. And this was only the beginning.
The moment it happened, nobody understood it. Not at first.
not even the people standing only a few feet away from her. It was supposed to be a normal tournament morning, tense, focused, buzzing with pre-match energy. Players warming up, coaches timing drills, officials moving clipboards, fans settling in early to get a glimpse of their favorites. Nothing unusual, nothing dramatic, until Alex Eala walked into the players' area with a look that didn't match the atmosphere around her. Her expression was calm, too calm. Not the calm of confidence, the calm of someone who had already made a decision long before anyone else realized something was wrong. Coaches whispered, rivals paused their stretches. A few fans noticed her body language and immediately began filming, sensing something brewing. Alex approached the match official's desk. No hesitation, no visible nerves. Just a firm, deliberate step, the kind that signaled finality, not doubt. She handed over a form, a simple piece of paper, but its meaning would hit the event like a sudden thunderclap. A withdrawal notice. No injury explanation, no press announcement, no prior hint. Just a sudden, unexpected decision to pull out moments before her match. The official's eyes widened for a second, the kind of reaction professionals try to hide but couldn't in that moment. He confirmed it twice, then quietly handed the paper to the next staff member. Within 30 seconds, phones were out, messages were flying, and the rumor machine ignited like gasoline in a fire. Is she hurt? Is this mental fatigue? Is there drama behind the scenes? Did she clash with someone? Why now? Why like this? Nobody had answers, so the world created its own. Her opponent, already in warm-up mode, stopped mid-rally when she heard the announcement. A mix of disappointment, confusion, and a hint of frustration crossed her face. She wasn't expecting a walkover. She had prepared for a battle, emotionally and strategically. But this wasn't just a walkover. This felt bigger, suspicious, personal, intentional. That's when the whispers turned into wildfire. A few journalists rushed out of the media zone trying to catch Alex before she headed backstage. Fans leaned over railings calling out her name. Even other players looked shaken, because anytime a peer makes a sudden, unexplained decision like this, it sends a ripple of fear through the locker room. What pushed her to this? Was it burnout? Pressure? A disagreement with officials? A strategic retreat? Or something deeper, something nobody saw coming? Theories swarmed instantly. Some believed she was protecting her long-term schedule, avoiding risking her body for a match she wasn't 100% ready for. Others speculated she received news that forced her to change priorities at the last minute. A few claimed they noticed tension earlier, a quick exchange with her team, an intense phone call, a moment where she wiped her face in frustration during warm-ups. But the most viral theory, the one fans discussed endlessly, was that she made the decision out of instinct, a gut feeling that the timing, the conditions, the moment simply weren't right. Whatever the reason, the impact was immediate. The WTA event, a stage built on precision and predictability, was suddenly soaked in uncertainty. Commentators scrambled for explanations, social media erupted, and fans demanded answers. Because this wasn't just Alex withdrawing, this was Alex making a statement, even if she didn't verbally say anything at all. And you could feel it in the atmosphere. This was not the end of the story. This was the trigger point, the spark that would light everything that came next. Something much bigger was about to unfold, and the tournament had no idea what was coming. The withdrawal alone was shocking, but the reaction that followed? That's what turned Alex Eala's unexpected decision into the biggest controversy of the entire WTA event. It started small, like most storms do. A tweet here, a confused comment there, a short clip uploaded by a fan who caught Alex walking away from the court, hood up, expression unreadable. Within minutes, it was everywhere. Why did she pull out last minute? Something feels off. This isn't normal behavior. Dozens of posts became hundreds, and hundreds became thousands. The tournament's official hashtag was suddenly buried under threads discussing only one thing: Alex Eala's decision. Fans weren't just surprised, they were split. One side defended her immediately. They pointed to her demanding schedule, her recent match load, her young age, and the mental pressure swelling around every player in the spotlight. She probably needed rest. She's protecting herself. She doesn't owe anyone an explanation. The other side, they weren't as forgiving. This is unprofessional. Why wait until the last second? She robbed her opponent of prep clarity. What kind of message is this? The divide grew sharper by the hour. Sports analysts entered the conversation next. Some framed it as a strategic decision, a smart withdrawal to avoid risking long-term injury. But other analysts took a harsher route, suggesting the timing made it look impulsive, or, worse, emotional. That's when the theories exploded. Not just fan theories, player theories. In the players' lounge, the tension was unmistakable. Every time her name was mentioned, people lowered their voices, players exchanged looks, trying to stitch together fragments of information from coaches, trainers, officials, anyone who might know something more. Some said she looked stressed hours before her match. Others said she seemed distracted during warm-ups. A few whispered that she had been unusually quiet all week, avoiding the usual small talk and sticking to herself. But the most controversial rumor, the one that spread like wildfire, involved a supposed disagreement behind closed doors. Nobody knew if it was real, but that never stopped speculation. Fans dissected body language from training clips, comment sections turned into forensic crime boards. TikTok edits appeared to claim to decode the moment her mood shifted. Then came the media frenzy. Journalists circled the story like hawks, and the more silent Alex stayed, the more intense the noise became. The event's press room filled with questions that no one wanted to answer. Is the withdrawal connected to a deeper issue? Will she release a statement? Is this the start of something bigger? Her opponent finally addressed it, carefully, diplomatically, but with an edge you couldn't ignore. She said she was surprised, that she prepared for a battle, and that the timing was unusual. It wasn't harsh, but it wasn't neutral either. And just like that, her words became fuel. Debates ignited, fans chose sides, commentators replayed every known detail, and the narrative shifted from curiosity to controversy. Because the truth was simple. People weren't reacting to the withdrawal anymore. They were reacting to the silence. Alex said nothing. No explanation, no interview, no clarification. And in the world of elite sports, silence is rarely interpreted as peace. It's interpreted as conflict, as tension, as something boiling beneath the surface. By the end of the day, one thing was clear. A simple decision had transformed into a headline-generating mystery. And whether she wanted it or not, Alex was now at the center of a storm that was growing bigger by the minute. The moment Alex stepped out of the locker room, she didn't enter a hallway. She walked straight into a battlefield. Lights, cameras, microphones, reporters lining up like soldiers ready to fire questions the second she took a breath. Whatever shockwave she had caused inside the locker room was nothing compared to this. This was chaos waiting for ignition. The WTA staff escort attempted to shield her, but the crowd surged the moment they saw her face. "Alex, why did you withdraw? Is it an injury? Did something happen with the umpire? Are you in conflict with your team?" A wall of questions slammed into her. Each reporter wanted the headline, the clip, the viral moment. The tension fed them. It made them sharper, louder, relentless. Because when a rising star pulls out with zero explanation, the media smells blood. But Alex kept walking. No answers, no reactions, nothing to feed the frenzy. Until one particular journalist, a veteran known for stirring controversy, stepped forward and shouted the question that froze the entire hallway. "Alex, is it true you withdrew because you refused to participate under the WTA's last-minute scheduling change?" Instant electricity. Players peeked from doorways. Staff froze in place. Cameras zoomed in instantly. That rumor hadn't even reached the locker room yet, so hearing it out loud made Alex stop involuntarily. In that split second of hesitation, every reporter smelled confirmation, even though she hadn't said a word. Another chimed in. "So you did walk out in protest." Then another. "Is this going to escalate to an official complaint?" And suddenly the story shifted, not from confusion, but to confrontation. Alex felt it. Everyone felt it. This was turning into a narrative she didn't control, a narrative spiraling out of her hands. She took a deep breath, trying to stay composed as the reporters pressed in tighter. She knew that anything she said, even one careless word, could turn a misunderstanding into a scandal or a private decision into a global headline. The WTA official leaned toward her and whispered urgently, "You don't have to talk, but silence is going to make this worse." Alex clenched her jaw, caught between protecting her truth and managing the consequences. Because the rumor wasn't entirely wrong, but telling the full story now would detonate a bomb she wasn't ready for the world to see. Then the moment came. The same senior journalist asked, louder than anyone else, "Alex, are you prepared for the backlash your decision will cause?" And for the second time that day, Alex said the words that would fuel the next 24 hours of headlines. "I'll deal with whatever comes." Flashbulbs exploded, microphones surged forward, journalists gasped. Because she hadn't denied anything, she had confirmed everything without saying it outright. She had drawn a line. She had chosen a side. And now the media was ready to turn her into the centerpiece of a controversy that would ricochet through the tennis world before she even left the building. As her escort pushed through the crowd and rushed her into the players' lounge, one thing was clear. But while the media erupted outside, a hidden confrontation behind closed doors was brewing, one that would reveal the true reason behind her shocking decision. While the media painted wild theories and fans argued nonstop online, the real story, the one no one outside the inner circle knew, was unfolding behind a locked meeting room door deep inside the tournament facility. No cameras, no reporters, no teammates, just Alex, two WTA officials, and the head tournament supervisor. If the outside world was a storm, this room was the eye of it. Quiet, claustrophobic, and tense enough to crack. Alex sat at the end of the long table, hands clasped tightly together, not in fear, but in resolve. She knew why she had withdrawn. She knew what she had stepped into, and she knew the consequences. But this was the first time she would have to say it out loud in front of the people whose approval could shape her career. The supervisor leaned forward. "Alex, we need to understand why you left the match so suddenly. The situation is escalating quickly." Alex met her eyes. "Because I wasn't going to play under unfair conditions. Not again." The room stiffened instantly. There it was. The root of it. The reason she walked away. The truth she had refused to give the press. One of the officials exhaled slowly, trying not to show panic. "You're referring to the schedule adjustment, correct? The change was made within standard protocol." Alex shook her head sharply. "Standard protocol? The change put me at a direct disadvantage. Less recovery time than my opponent, different court conditions. I'm tired of being told to just accept it because I'm young." Her voice didn't shake. It vibrated with conviction. This wasn't about fatigue. This wasn't about injury. This was about fairness, something she had felt been slipping through her fingers for months. The supervisor adjusted her glasses, choosing her words carefully. "Alex, withdrawing in the middle of a match is serious. It affects the tournament, the broadcasters, the spectators, and your silence afterward made it look like a protest." "It was a protest," Alex replied. The bluntness in her tone stunned all three officials. Not defiant, just honest, brutally honest. She continued, "Players talk. We all know when the schedule is manipulated. Some players get flexibility, some of us don't. I stepped back today because I wanted to make a point. If I kept playing under something that wasn't fair, I'd regret it more than any backlash." The word backlash hung in the air like a threat. The tournament official sighed. "Alex, you're a rising star. But decisions like this, especially public ones, can impact sponsorships, rankings, relationships inside the WTA. Are you fully aware of that?" Alex nodded slowly. "I know what I risked, and I'm still standing by it." Silence. The heavy, suffocating kind that happens when someone chooses principle over politics. Another official spoke more softly, almost with sympathy. "Then we have to discuss next steps. There will be an inquiry, statements, reactions, a lot of noise." Alex leaned back, closing her eyes briefly. She could already imagine the headlines twisting her intentions, the social media frenzy, the commentary from legends who didn't have the full story. But she also knew this. She had reached her breaking point, a point where staying quiet meant staying complicit. And she wasn't going to be complicit anymore. The supervisor finally stood. "Very well, Alex. If you're prepared to defend your decision, then a storm is coming, and you need to be ready. Alex stood too, shoulders squared, eyes unwavering. I've been ready for a long time. And in that moment, something became undeniably clear. This was no longer about a withdrawal. This was no longer about a match. This was a statement, one that would echo far beyond that meeting room. But the real test wasn't the officials. It was the world waiting outside, and the unexpected twist that would challenge everything she thought she stood for. When Alex finally stepped out of the meeting room, the world hadn't quieted down. It had intensified. The noise was louder. The rumors were wilder. Social media had turned her decision into a global debate. Supporters praised her courage. Critics accused her of immaturity. Analysts dissected her every move. And yet, through all of it, something inside her felt strangely calm. Because for the first time in her career, she wasn't fighting the expectations around her, she was standing behind her own voice. But as she walked through the players' hallway, an unexpected figure stopped her cold. It was the top-seeded player who confronted her earlier in the locker room, the same one who warned her that she was risking her future. She leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching Alex approach. "You made quite a mess out there," the player said. Alex exhaled. "I know. You realize they're not done with you. More statements are coming, more pressure, more criticism." "I know that too." The player studied her quietly, then asked the one question nobody else had. "Do you regret it?" Alex paused. There was no microphone this time, no officials, no reporters, just truth. "No," she said softly. "Because I finally stood up for myself." The top seat nodded, not with judgment, but with a kind of reluctant respect. "Most players don't take that risk," she said. "They complain behind the scenes, but stay quiet for the cameras. So whether you're right or wrong, at least you didn't hide." Alex felt her chest loosen. It wasn't approval, but it was acknowledgement, something deeper. As they parted ways, Alex continued down the hallway and stepped outside into the cool evening air. The world still felt heavy, charged with tension, but something in her had shifted. She knew this moment would follow her. She knew the headlines wouldn't disappear tomorrow. She knew the tournament might treat her differently, maybe even sponsors, maybe even future events. But she also knew that every athlete reaches a crossroads. Moments that define not the career, but the character. And this had been hers. What happened next was something she didn't expect. As she walked toward the exit gate, a small group of young tennis players, juniors training at the same facility, waited quietly. When she approached, they lifted a sign they'd scribbled on a piece of poster paper. "Thank you for standing up." Alex froze. One of the girls stepped forward and said, "We watched everything. Most of us don't get fair schedules either, but you showed that we shouldn't just accept it." For the first time that day, Alex felt her eyes sting. Because in the middle of all the noise, all the backlash, all the uncertainty, here was the reminder she didn't know she needed. Her choice had consequences. But it also had meaning. And maybe the world would judge her. Maybe the media would twist her. Maybe officials would push back. But somewhere out there, the next generation was watching and learning. And that, more than anything, made her decision worth it. As she headed home that night, the entire day replayed in her mind. The withdrawal, the locker room, the reporters, the meeting, the backlash, the fear, the courage, and the strange calm in choosing a path most players would avoid. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring. She didn't know how big the storm might grow. But she did know this. A career is measured in titles. A legacy is measured in choices. And this choice, controversial, risky, bold, would become a part of hers forever. Alex Eala's sudden decision didn't just shock a tournament. It sparked a conversation the tennis world had been avoiding for far too long. If you want more dramatic tennis stories, deeper rivalries, and behind-the-scenes controversies like this one, subscribe now, because the next chapter of women's tennis drama is always just one match away. Whether she was right or wrong, whether her protest changes anything or inspires someone else to keep pushing, one thing is certain: this moment will follow her, challenge her, shape her, and maybe define her.